Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning and welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Bill Allen, sitting in for Winston Chester this morning. We got a great show lined up for you, some very special guests, and kind of give you some updates on what's going on with this Crooked Creek situation, and also talk about what's hot right now in the bay or just fishing in general. The weather today brought to us by Haney Technical Center. We're looking at a high of 71 degrees on January the 24th with a low tonight of 49, and winds light and variable, and they're saying maybe 8 miles an hour out of the west. Looking at Panama City, we have a low tide this morning at 6:15 with a high at 8:05 this evening. So you got a good incoming tide this afternoon to try to fish. St. Joe, pretty much the same thing. Their lows at 5:40 with a high of 7:56 or 8 o'clock over there. Now, let's take a look at the river readings at Apalachicola. Now, we've got 2 feet over there now, which is twice what we've had for most of the last year, and rising to 3.5 feet by Saturday. Now, it's going to start to fall off then, so, you know, if you like to catfish like I do over there and you get some good moving water falling out, it's going to be a good time to do it this weekend. Choctawhatchee is at 4.5 feet and falling through Saturday, so again, some of those deep holes over there make great catfishing, so it's a good time to take a look at that. We're going to go ahead and take our first break. We're going to come back with a couple of special guests. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm here with 2 good friends, 2 great captains, Justin Leake and Matt Smith, who I always enjoy having on here. They got a wealth of information. And the last time we were on, we talked about this situation with Crooked Creek and what's going on there. And I know these 2 guys have been very instrumental in keeping up with that, and also, you know, keeping me informed and a lot of other people. So I kind of want to just do an update this morning and turn it over to these guys. Whoever wants to start first, just where are we right now with this Crooked Creek boat ramp deal?
Well, I've been keeping up with it, Bill, and it's right now kind of just in a holding stage, if you will. It has been voted on. It went to the commission. They voted it through, and you know, when all of the interest really started with this is when the county accepted the land for the boat landing or the recreation park, 7.5 acres. That's what really kind of started all the interest. So that's why in the last little bit, starting back in December last year, we had all of the interest. So that's where we're at with it. I've talked with commissioners. I've talked with Mike Thomas in person. I've talked with Guy Tennell a couple times on the phone, and they are interested in what the public has to say and taking input. Guy Tennell, it is in his area, and he has told me he's going to take it upon himself to go out, put his boat in on Crooked Creek, look at the area. Right. We're also looking at some other options for an alternate location. That seems to be the big issue with most people is the location of where the proposed ramp is going in.
Right. And, you know, we said this before, it's not like you can't get there right now.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's probably one of the easiest accessible places in the bay.
It is true.
I mean, you know, there's very few areas. They have 3 accesses to West Bay, you know, starting at the Intercoastal Waterway, Crooked Creek, Burnt Mill Creek, and 2 of them already have a public boat ramp. And this one sits right in between 2 public boat ramps.
It's a very short ride.
Yeah.
And, you know, usually in the wintertime, I mean, that's when it gets most of the fishing pressure, obviously. That's know, they're up into that creek, and I fished it for years and fished it hundreds of times. And, you know, it winds out of the north, usually in the wintertime. But, you know, you're protected running down there. And so, you know, and I kind of look at it from a situation of there's access to that. Right. You can get there without potentially ruining a very pristine area there. And with the drop where they're talking about putting it and the length that thing's going to have to be, I mean, you're going to tear up a lot of stuff getting in there, not to mention the water quality.
Well, a couple things. My look at it, from my perspective, Crooked Creek is a much better destination than it is a place to launch and return from and to turn it into a canal, an access canal to the bay. Let's face it, most of the time, unless it's cold, I want direct access to the bay. So it's much better as a destination. We have plenty of access. I've said many times, and this is kind of brought to light, I started thinking about our entire bay system. West Bay, North Bay, St. Andrew Bay, East Bay. All 4 of those bays combined equal 69,000 acres of water. If they don't build one more ramp on this entire bay system for the rest of my life, I'm 31 years old, you'll never hear me complain.
No.
I have all the access. Now, in county is not the only access we have. We have city, we've got marinas, we've got private. We have plenty of access. So the big question is why? What is our objective here? Is our objective to turn every tributary, every bayou, every place on this bay into a boat ramp?
Well, and when you look at other areas in Florida, really our county and city have done a great job providing access to our waters. You go down to South Florida and the Keys, and you can drive 20 miles without hitting a public boat ramp. We really don't realize how good we have it here. And, seeing as we already have this great access, there comes a point where you can overdo it. And I think I agree with Matt. It's just there's not a need for it in this kind of economy. To me, dollars can be spent. And I understand that the dollars are allotted for certain things, but why not create, since it's a recreation area? There's plenty of other recreation other than a boat ramp.
Absolutely, and we're at a point where we really should be looking. I think one of the reasons this is such a big issue to people is I think it sets precedents. I think that the public interest is an example of people saying, "Hey, wait, just like we are, why?"
To me, you're exactly right. The question is why.
Why?
You've got, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. You got some people getting together on this. I may say this wrong. Is it Save Crooked Creek Group or whatever they call themselves? And I apologize. I don't know what the name is, but I just saw the shirts.
Yeah.
And
Friends of Crooked Creek.
They're not in favor of it. The guys who fish it, and I'm assuming the majority of them, the ones that I've talked to, said the same way. They're not in favor of it. Who wants it?
Well,
and why?
And that's it. And one of the real interesting things is they actually did a poll on the News Herald website. It was just published last couple days, and out of 342 people that logged in, just folks took time to log into the News Herald website, 52% no, 48% yes. Majority say no.
We're going to take a quick break. Sorry, Matt. We're going to take a quick break, pay the bills. We're going to come back and continue this just a little bit. Thanks. Welcome back. We've had this discussion about, the need or the lack of need for a boat ramp on Crooked Creek. And, we all fish it a lot. And a lot of people fish it during the wintertime. And, it's just my concern. And I'll tell you my big concern is we've all been told what happened to Deer Point Lake was with all these weeds, and the reason you have to draw it down, the reason you have to do everything else is because all these guys come down from Alabama and fish down here, and because what's growing and stopping up Deer Point is not native to Deer Point.
That's right, Matt.
Milfoil and lemon bacopa.
Now, nothing against guys coming down here fishing from Alabama. I think it's great, and a lot of the people who fish Crooked Creek in the wintertime, guys, if you go up there and you look on those registrations, there's a lot of Alabama boats up there.
Right.
And I got nothing against them. Those are nice guys. I talk to them when they come down here, and I'm glad they do. It's revenue. They got to buy Florida licenses. They're going to buy bait, gas, or food at some point when they're here. What happens now if it gets real popular, instead of these guys putting in at West Bay and other places running over there, if they start coming here putting it in there, if we get that kind of growth in the creek.
That's right.
I mean, it's over.
It's it's definitely something to look at. And that brings up another issue with this. There's so many things that to look at is the fact that a majority of folks that would use that ramp are from Alabama, and that they haven't paid for it. Citizens of Bay County, it comes from county and state funds that they're going to pay for it, and that brings up another issue as well. Nothing against out-of-state
No.
anglers
Well,
at
they're
all.
great guys. I've talked to them for years. Guys that I recognize that come down every year and fish this thing. You know, and they're as nice as they can be, and I appreciate them coming down.
You
here,
know, but back to
looking for
the
trout.
issue, you know, a lot of people, I get a lot of calls and people pull me to the side, they want the information on it. There's a lot of misinformed folks out there thinking that, you know, it could be losing access to Crooked Creek, everything from losing access to Crooked Creek to thinking that it's somewhere else on Crooked Creek. I mean, when people find out the details, they really want to know why. I have people that say, hey, I'm never going to put a boat in at Crooked Creek, never fish Crooked Creek, blah, blah, blah. Why are we spending this money? That doesn't make sense to me. But that's kind of where it's at. Guy Tennell has assured me there is going to be a meeting, public meeting. We're going to keep folks informed, and you have an opportunity to go down, make your voice heard, whether you're for it or against it.
Sure.
I mean, there's two sides.
That's right.
And we're definitely going to stay on top of it.
Well, we've talked about this, and especially Justin and I have talked about this. I know Matt probably says so. I put in a lot of times at Carl Gray Park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, that is one of the most popular boat ramps anywhere in this county.
Sure.
Anywhere in this county, and there's no dock there. Now we've built beautiful picnic tables that are covered and everything else.
Oh yeah.
There's not even a porta potty there. So we've done everything in the world to get people to come there, but we don't have any kind of facility. And I'm telling you right now that looking at that ramp on the right side, you got about a boat and a half that you can put a boat in.
Well,
it's closing up on the other side.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of times you have enough water to launch your boat, but then there's a huge bar blown up, you know, from everybody loading their boats. You can get your boat in the water, but then you can't even idle out of
If
it.
you launch it low tide over there,
Yeah.
you're exactly right.
Now that is city. That
Yeah.
is city.
Oh, yeah,
that's a whole
not
different
county.
animal.
But you bringing that up makes a good point. Most folks would agree that if you've got money, you've got a boater improvement fund, which is funded by boating registrations, you've got impact fees. Most people would agree, hey, why not take that amount of money there set aside, a lot of money to build a facility that most people don't think is needed or want. Why don't you take that and improve your existing facility?
Maintain, make it usable. I mean, right there at the foot of Hathaway Bridge, you got a ton of parking. You got families who come down there and they'll let their kids, the younger kids, swim over there all down through there because you don't have the rip tides there that you do other places. But those picnic areas are absolutely beautiful over there.
Yeah.
You know, we went over Sunday afternoon and fished in Choctawhatchee Bay as an example. We turned off of 395 towards Eden State Park. You go all the way to the end of that road over there. There's a beautiful boat ramp over there. 2 docks. I mean, this is kind of in the middle of nowhere out there. You know, there's 2 docks. They've even got water over there and a hose so that you can rinse it down and flush out your boat when you come out. Beautifully well maintained. There's people over there fishing off the docks. You know, there's a lot of boats. They've got parking down through there. You know, and that's not uncommon. Over there, you know, on Black's Creek, you got a lot of places, beautiful ramps over there and facilities.
And then to tie that in to what we were discussing here, why not take those dollars that we don't feel are needed over there and, you know, look one creek over to Burnt Mill, and they already have a great location. And the reason it's a great location is because it's at the mouth of Burnt Mill.
That's right.
So when you launch your boat there and you want to run out into West Bay, you are not running an outboard down a small, you know, narrow creek.
Less than a minute you're in the bay.
Sure. If you took those dollars and invested that into that land there, imagine the, you know, bathroom facilities, and we're talking on the north side of West Bay is pretty undeveloped, and, you know, you're not going to run down to the convenience store down the street when you need something or need to use the restroom. Why not build a nice restroom facilities, you know, like Bill was just saying, you know, you could have, you know, water hose, a wash down station, stuff like that.
All of these bring up a good point. Most people agree we can do better.
Yeah.
Look at your options.
Best use of what we've got.
That's right.
Now, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you guys out there. Now, if you got an opinion on this in either way, but, you know, we try to bring you some current information. Now, email Winston at winstonchester5@gmail.com and voice your opinion. The two of us yesterday morning and several other people who are concerned about this and other issues met and discussed the possibility of forming something like a Panhandle Sportsmen's Association. there's a lot of people who believe that the people who boat and fish and hunt, everything doing the outdoors,
The whole outdoors crowd.
you need a voice. You need an organization of people where you have a voice where, if you go to these commission meetings like we all have, and I've taken my turn and stood up and talked, but if somebody were up there representing 500, 600, 1,000 people, you have a lot more impact than that, because the 500 of us are not going to go up there and get to speak at a commission. That's just how it is.
Well, most people work. You got a job right now. You're trying to keep it, and being down at 11th Street at 9 o'clock in the morning is not conducive with doing your job. So that's part of the argument of, hey, folks want to show up and voice their opinion. That's tough to do.
And Winston's a part of this. He supports us 100%. And let him know, let him know if you have an interest in an organization like that, and let us know what you think about Crooked Creek. We're going to have not really a poll, but just kind of see what the general consensus is. Going to take a quick break, come back and talk fishing this time. All right, welcome back. Again, joined by Captains Justin Leake and Matt Smith. And we're going to talk a little bit more about fishing this time, and we do want to hear your opinions though, so let Winston know. Send us an email. Now, speaking of fishing, the major feeding times today are 9:54 a.m. this morning to 11:54 a.m. and then tonight at 10:18 p.m. to 12:18 p.m. It may be a little cool out there tonight, so you want to bundle up if you do that, but a lot of people, so they skip over the whole night fishing part, especially in the summertime for big trout. The big trout are nocturnal feeder, and on these so hot days, and when there's not any wind blowing, man, you can go out there with the top water. That is some kind of fun, especially when you can barely see it.
Absolutely.
So, all right, now let's this is a fishing show today. Let's talk about fishing. What's going on? I know that it's tough back in the bay right now in skinny water.
Well, that's
it's tough for me.
Kind of what started our conversation about fishing a day or so ago was just kind of everybody's having a tough time, and fishing is consistent. I always compare it to the weather. I say it's as consistent as the weather, especially this time of year. And most folks would agree our weather's been anything but consistent. So that's more or less where the fishing's at.
Yeah, and not to keep driving this point home about Crooked Creek, but all creeks in general right now. Matter of fact, me and Matt got the chance that we don't get very often to jump on a boat together and fish a little last week. And we stayed in small protected creeks, and and they don't have to be super deep. We're not talking about intercoastal waterway where you got 30 foot of water. It was 5 foot of water.
5.5.
Yeah, 5.5 foot of water in small protected creeks and stuff like that. And we caught nice trout and redfish. And so that's something and it was extremely windy. On these cold, windy days, if you're out in big open areas, and I like to think of it like this: if you're really uncomfortable, the fish would probably be really uncomfortable there too, true. And they probably don't want to be there. If you can get out of the weather in a nice little protected area, and it's a lot more comfortable to you, it's probably going to be a lot more comfortable to the fish too.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that it's 71 degrees for a majority of the people.
That's right.
I hate it. I want it to be cold in the wintertime.
That is true.
That's when I catch those trout. It's the only time I really trout fish, Well, but I mean,
you get a little window this time of year where you do expect it to get cold and stay that way, and it just has not done so the last year.
You guys are still having a lot of success in the past, right?
Oh yeah, and that's another thing is and we've been on this neap tide schedule where we don't have a lot of movement, and I think that has a lot to do with the variance in water temperatures. I mean, out in the pass, we're getting 62 to 63 degree water temperatures. Up in the bay, I'm getting 57 degrees.
I know.
And that's another thing. I pay attention to that water temperature, not looking on a website or something. That's good for a general idea, but I'm watching it on my boat all the time where I'm going because, out there in the pass, hey, we're getting close to springtime water temperatures. And that's why, we're on that springtime pattern out there. Well, you head up the bay, and you're 57 degree water temperature. That's still cold for those fish. They're still
I always say, fish doesn't know what time of year it is. He doesn't know what day or anything. His world is dictated by water temperature. And when you've got the kind of fluctuation we've had this year, it stands to reason that the fish aren't going to stay in one place long. And we've had, you get a lot of volatile weather. Those open areas are very susceptible to a lot of drastic changes. And two things a fish wants, constant. He's really not that complicated of a creature. He wants stability, security, a comfortable environment, and food. That's the only two things he requires to live.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
you know, when you have that unstable water temperature and the water conditions, it stands to reason that you know you're going to have a lot of variation from one day to the next.
No, that's
Sure.
very true. You know, I talk to as many people as I can in different areas and things like that. I mean, you go over there to Appalachia where I love to fish, and you can slay them one day and go back the next day with the change, and you're just not going to find
That's
any
true.
fish over there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing in the bay. I mean, Mark Coward and I went out, had a great afternoon, caught a bunch of trout, a bunch of redfish. Went back 2 days later to basically the same area, and there wasn't a fish in there.
Have you seen any big schools of fish this year?
No.
I haven't either. Not to speak of. Now, there was, it was year before last, Justin and I were talking when we had such a cold winter, and remember one particular day comes to mind where we both had, I think we had a friend or two on the boat, just kind of a fun trip out messing around, and we pinned a school of fish in between the two boats, in between our two boats, and just throw in, and you'd catch one every. How many fish you think were in that school?
I don't know. It was a couple hundred.
At least. I mean, just
but, you know, they had no interest in leaving. They were just, I mean, a couple hundred redfish sitting between mine and Matt's boats.
Yeah, and foot of water.
And
it's just, you know, an awesome sight, and it just, I have not seen a school that even comes
matter of
close.
fact, before
like
it
that.
really got cold, like in November, I saw some, you know, decent sized schools of reds, but yeah, they definitely. I don't know what happened, but you know, we haven't been seeing too many big schools like that.
No, I haven't. You know, you got to get your rear ends off the couch and go fish. You know, I mean,
and be versatile too. Don't be
versatile,
you know, set in your ways when you head out and go. No, we're red fishing. Regardless, you know, hey, look, if you don't see some fish, you know,
it could be a long day.
like
if
we're
you do
saying,
that
we're
right
not
now.
seeing those schools of fish, and move on to something else.
That's
That's what
it.
we had to do all summer.
Yeah, that's
You
it.
know, weather is a constantly changing thing, and we need to change too. You know, this summer, I know me and Matt have talked on other shows about we found ourselves fishing for other things just because of that. You know,
Yeah.
It's what keeps it interesting.
Best
That's
bet,
right.
pass right now.
that's a pretty good one.
You got moving water.
Getting
You know.
protected canals or the pass are both going to be good bets.
All right, I really appreciate these guys coming in. Love talk to them. We got to get out of here. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.
God bless you.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.